But we're going to move on to the New England Patriots here. And they just did what the Patriots normally do. They sit there, they either take the player or they trade down, right? They traded down with the Steelers to screw over the Jets. I mean, we talked about that. I told you that pick swap, man. I can't tell you how many times I said the pick swap, but they traded down to 17. They let the Steelers come up to 14 to get their guy. And it hurt their rival, the Jets. And they also snagged, for a lot of people's, number one cornerback in Christian Gonzalez at 17. Now, what's interesting here, he was my number 2, but I had him as a top 10 talent. And he has a kind of a similar body structure as Derwin James. And Derwin James fell into the teens. So I'm like confused. Is this type of like ultra athletic frame really good? Like the knock on Gonzalez when I watch the tape is that he just isn't physical enough. Like he doesn't want to play the run with physicality. Like he's a very passive run defender. But to have him fall to 17, I mean, the Patriots won this one because that was a hell of a pick. Then they go out and they get Keon White. They play a multiple defense camp. So Keon White is exactly what I expected them to go after. A guy like that, a guy like Myles Murphy, like a guy that can play that 3-4 or can play that 4-3. And Keon White, originally at Old Dominion, he's originally a tight end. He moves to the defensive side of the ball, defensive lineman, and he killed it with Georgia Tech, And I think he's a guy who his stock was at an all-time high, and then right before the draft, it felt like nobody was talking about him. He was starting to fall down the rungs. And once again, the Patriots got good value at 46. I think he's a first-round talent. So you talk about getting a first-round talent in Gonzalez at 17, a top 10 talent. Then you talk about getting Keon White. Then they got my guy, Marte Mapu, who was one of my guys, and they get him at 76. I know there was a certain team that wanted him that was upset they didn't get him. Cough, cough, the Rams. Mapu is being listed as a linebacker. Like they draft him as a linebacker. He played safety. He goes to the Senior Bowl, and they like him at linebacker. So he didn't test, and I think that's why he fell. But had he tested and showed up the way like Jeremy Chin did, he probably would have gone the early second round, maybe even slid into the first. Great pick from the Patriots. But this is where it gets weird, Cam, because I didn't like the Jake Andrews pick. Felt like this was a little high for him. Then Chad Ryland. So you go with a kicker in the 4th round. I feel like this is just too early. I really do. City Sow, I had a 6th round on. I solid player, but a little too early for me. Antonio Mafi, just felt like that was a little high. Butte in the 6th round is pretty solid, value there. Behringer, the punter, Demario Douglas, Amir Speed, and I love that they got the Jackson State kid, Isaiah Bolden.
Yeah.
But all in all, Cam, they nailed the first 3 picks, but this draft was not that impressive. Like, it started off great. Like, they're creating the Mona Lisa, and then they just started making stick figures. It turned into a stick figure. It was like they focused so much on the detail of the face, and then they drew stick legs on the bottom. And you're like, why did you do that? So that's how I feel. I mean, is it brutal to say that? Maybe. And I respect the guys that got drafted. I'm not trying to trash them. But I just felt like this Patriots draft got off to such a wicked hot start. And I guess just my expectations weren't that high. Then I see them come down with Gonzalez, White, and Mapu in their first 3 picks. I'm thinking, they're going to kill it. I don't feel like they killed it, Cam. So you know what? Because they got those 3 guys, it boosts their grade up a little bit. But I'm going to stick here with a B. Because at the end of the day, you can have 3 really good picks there, and that does make up the majority of your draft class. But, I mean, you talk about you had 3 picks in the 4th round. Andrews, to me, was a late round center. Ryland's a kicker. You should never pick a kicker or a punter until the 6th or 7th round. I will put my foot down on that one. And I thought it was a little too early for him. So, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
I'm
that's
bah humbug, but that's how I feel.
no, that's fair. I mean, you have been covering the Jets a little bit, so hey, maybe there's like
Oh,
F,
I see where you're doing. I
just
see
kidding
what you're
there.
doing.
Just kidding. This is off the edge, and we're showing each team equal love, right? Each team
Yeah,
equal love. It's unfortunate
no
that
bias.
no bias. It's unfortunate that the Dolphins get the short end of the stick at the draft, and we just got to say why, right? And so, but
Yeah,
the Patriots, for me, I'll give them a B plus here, Jake. Right? I know you gave them a B. I'll give them a B plus. The reason why I say that, I love the range of their picks. It seems like they got pretty much a lot of positions covered. Like you talk about, you got kickers, you got a punter here in the 6th round as well. So it sounds like they're addressing literally every need that they have. I mean, shoot, if you need a water boy or water gal, probably drafted them too, right? Looking at this list, but I'm gonna give them B plus because I think they covered the places that they needed, and the reason why I give them a B plus as well is because Bill Belichick, right? Bill Belichick can make lemonade out of lemons, Jake. And so if you're, I'm not saying you're calling these draft picks lemons, right? But if they are quote unquote lemons, I have faith that Bill Belichick is going to make some nice lemonade. So I'm gonna give him a B plus there. Christian Gonzalez, we talk about him in extension, all around player, Mr. Corner, Mr. All that. When he gets to the next level, he's gonna get in training camp, Jake, and he's gonna get tested. Bill Belichick's gonna be like, "Hey, man, I know you don't want to tackle, but hey, I've coached Hall of Famers, and let me cut on the tape. This is what they do, so I'm gonna need you to do the same thing." So I have faith that he'll change that around a little bit, and he'll still be dynamic in the pass game as well. So like I said, full confidence in Bill Belichick and changing that around. Keon White, we talk about our edge guys. He is one of our guys, very dynamic, great with his hands, can get around the edge. Can he move inside? Put some more weight on. Who knows? But he's versatile. So I like a Keon White there. And then with Mapu, I mean, Jake, I went back and watched his tape. You'll see he makes like textbook tackles. And I think that's why coaches want to move him to linebacker is because his feet are always in place. You see when he strikes people, his feet are set. And he's a lot of times he's striking these people within the box, right? He's coming from out the box, in the box, and really laying the hammer on these people. And so they're like, hey, if we can maybe add just a little bit of weight to him, right, get him a little bit stronger, he can take on some of these big old linemen that he might be fearful about. But my man can tackle. And another thing too, my man can cover. So if you get a linebacker who can do that, you go to your Mark Barons, right? Where Mark Barron, he was able to tackle, one of the best tacklers that I've played with, right? But then he can also cover as well. So Corey Littleton, same thing, one of the better tacklers, but can cover like a defensive back. And I think you get that in Marte Mapu. So they moved to a linebacker. I see why. The guy's getting more athletic, Jake. So we got to have someone like him to cover him. And then Jake Andrews, he's like a replica of David Andrews. Jake, I came out of training with when it comes to the draft with David Andrews, and so similar type of guy. They can get a little nasty when you need them to, but similar type of build, similar type of player. So I see why they did that there. And then Jake going to the kicker piece. We got Bryce Behringer, got a 6th round pick, and then you got our kicker in Chad Ryan. Jake, I mean, my guy, Chad, his leg is automatic. You need to put some points on the board, and the vision is good. So, hey, let's find someone to score some points. But like you said, drafting a kicker at 4, I don't know about it.
It's yeah, it's a bold move, Cotton. We'll see if that pays off. No, I look, I might be a little unfair towards them. They had a lot of picks. I just felt like, but I felt this way during the draft, and then I go back to the drawing board, and I'm like, all right, was I wrong? I don't feel like I was wrong even after the fact. I feel like they still did reach on those guys. So it's one of the things where, you go through the draft in the moment and you're reacting and you're getting it fed to you. You're getting information and you're reacting in that moment. Okay, that's fine. That's one thing. It's another when you go through and you're like, I'm still having that opinion. You know what I mean? Like that, so
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. But I love the Mapu pick. I love the Keon White pick, and I love the Christian Gonzalez pick. Hoping Patriots fans don't hate me, but those 3 picks, at the very least, just know they're A+ grades. The rest of the draft.
There's one more, Jake. There's one more, right? And
Yeah.
I know we talk about the kickers, right? So you got You got Aguayo, right? You got Aguayo who got drafted to the Buccaneers from Florida State, second round. So I played with him. You can go either way. So I see what you're saying there. But one person that I want to call out, Jake, that I feel like the Patriots hit on, Demario Douglas, coming out of Liberty. Now,
Interesting.
yes, I really like that pick. He was sixth round after all the kickers. But when people think about this, think about Liberty and their program in these past 4 to 5 years, how well they've been doing. They've been upsetting people. They just been crushing it. Well, think about who's scoring all these daggone touchdowns, Jake, right? Like, great quarterbacks there. Who's scoring all these daggone touchdowns? And it's Demario Douglas. I mean, they're upsetting teams like there's no one's business. And he's the one who's catching the football. He's the one that's making all this happen. I put in my notes, throw to number 3. Throw to Demario because he can return the ball. He can run the ball. He's their go-to wide receiver. And he's a gadget guy. He's just Mr. Everything. And so I think that's why I'm giving him a B+ as well, is because they got a steal in Demario. And the Liberty put the world college football on notice these past few years, how well they've been playing. And I think Demario was a reason for that. So B+ for me for the Patriots for getting him.
And I'm just going to say Isaiah Bolden. I mentioned it already. You know, I really like that pick because I was hoping Jackson State would. We talked about one Jackson State player that might get drafted, but I think was more of a priority free agent. Isaiah Bolden has just the look that the Patriots look for. And, you know, you look at the corners. And, I mean, look, they added Christian Gonzalez, right? They got Jack Jones. They got Marcus Jones. So they go out, they get those guys. They have Miles Bryant, who's played good playing time. Jonathan Jones, great nickel guy, right? Shaun Wade even. But there's just, I don't know. There's something about Isaiah Bolden. He seems like the perfect come out of nowhere J.C. Jackson type of Patriots guy.
Yeah.
I mean, J.C. Jackson was a second, third round talent in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure they got him undrafted. They get Isaiah Bolden 245. Remember that name. I'm pretty high on him. Like he didn't grade out extremely well for me. It's not like I had him as a fourth whatever, but he's just somebody that like when I was watching the film, I was like, okay. And keep in mind, he was coached by, Primetime. So,
there you go.
DB coached by Deion Sanders, undefeated season at Jackson State. And look, Jackson State, I've liked a couple of prospects in the past. I don't know if you remember Javancy Jones, the linebacker. I liked him. Like I interviewed him, but furthermore, I really liked his tape. And I think Bolden, I think he can be a little bit of a trailblazer here, get, Jackson State back on the map, because I know it'll take a little bit after losing a guy like Deion Sanders, but I think that this is going to go a long way for the program. I mean, they got a guy drafted and, we'll go from there, but keep an eye out for Isaiah Bolden. I'm very excited for him, and he's not a guy I'm willing to bet against as a 7th round pick.
No, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And to be honest, when I watched his tape and Amir Speed's tape from Michigan State, I liked Isaiah's tape a little bit better. And so I'm sure Isaiah saw that. He saw the Patriots pick Christian Gonzalez at first. He's like, okay, like they got a corner in front of me. And then Amir, he's like, wait, he's probably like, I'm a better than Amir. So like you mentioned, I think he's gonna have that chip on his shoulder, and he's gonna want to fight. He's probably feeling like that Mr. Irrelevant right now, right? 7th pick, HBCU, like no one's really checking for me like that. Watch. And so I like that as well, Jake. And then finally, shout out to the Patriots for selecting some of these kids from the HBCUs. When it comes to Hall of Famers in the NFL, a lot of them are coming from HBCUs. So the fact that the Patriots had that in their mind to say, not only is he a great football player, but we're going to support this community. Like I said, B+, Jake. Shout out to the Patriots. Great job in the draft this year.
Yeah. I'll stick with the B, but I really think that size and, I think 6'2", 203, get him with that coaching, get him with Belichick and company, and he's already been coached up by, Prime. I'm just saying, may not be overnight, may not be year 2, may not even be year 3, but he's a guy down the road with a lot of seasoning in the NFL. He might just emerge someday as a beautiful butterfly.
That's good stuff.
I know. I'm here all week. Anyway,